Mr. Babcock?
Here.
Mrs. Sweet?
Here.
Mr. Bear?
Here.
Mr. Whitaker?
Here.
Mrs. Fogel?
Here.
Mr. Hannah?
Here. And all members of council are present. Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the regular session of the Enon Village Council, and this is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. Any additions to our agenda tonight? I have two quick items of communication that I would like to present to council. Is there anything else?
We may need to do a finance meeting. I know we talked about it last meeting. We probably need to set one up, though.
Okay.
So maybe on our committee reports, we can talk about it.
It's anything else? All right, let's go into the minutes of our June 8th, 2021 meeting. And if council is satisfied with those minutes, I'd entertain a motion and a second to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
All right, those minutes are approved as presented. Go into finances, and Laura has provided us with the current appropriation status report, cash summary by fund, and also the revenue. And looking at the appropriation status for the general fund, we have spent about 43% so far this year. So we're almost halfway through the year. Street construction, about 46%. Police levy, about 42%. And I know on that last page, the water, yeah, about 50% in water. The actual fund balances look good. The general fund still has almost $246,000 in it, so that's in really good shape. And looking briefly at the revenue status report. Let's see, I think the second half of real estate bills are going out this week. I know I received something. I don't know if anybody else received theirs or not. So we'll be getting the second half of those revenues probably the first or second week of August. As far as street goes, everything's looking good there. Same with the police levy. Of course, those revenues will increase with the second half of the property taxes. And water, again, that would be for 5 months, and we're looking good there as well. So. And Kevin, you had a request from Laura, and this would be to account for that Bob White project?
Yes, it's appropriation adjustment for $100,000. It's coming, it's actually, we're not going to see it. It has to be done on paper. We have to track it. It's the $100,000 coming from the OPWC to us and then back to OPWC, and OPWC is paying Outdoor Enterprise directly, so we don't have to write them any checks. So it's coming out of the 211-610 street fund. So she just needs that approval for tonight.
I never did understand that. It's like we never get and the money never touches our hands.
It's a pass-through, bureaucratic.
It's a pass-through, but you got to show it coming in, then you got to show it, but it never touches our hands.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not at all. So.
Well, briefly.
So she just would need that approval from council tonight to
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Thank you.
We got one other item, the budget hearing. We typically have that the first meeting in July. That meets all the deadlines. The budget's got to be approved by the 15th. It's got to be turned in by the 20th. So my recommendation to council that we kind of stick with what we've done in the past, and we have that public hearing on Tuesday, July 13th at 7 o'clock. I don't know that we've ever had any comments before, but that'll give the public the opportunity to put a comment in or to come and comment if they would like to. Does that sound okay with the council? Okay.
You said it just has to be turned in that Thursday following, correct?
Yeah, it has to be, it's got to be approved by the 15th and turned in by the 20th.
Okay. So we would hold a meeting before our regular meeting. Isn't that what we've done in the past?
You could absolutely do that.
Well, isn't that how we did it in the past? Didn't we have or did we just have public comments during a regular session?
We had the, if I remember right, last year, we had the hearing separate. I don't remember when you had your finance meeting. I don't know whether that committee meeting, whether that was right before that at 6:30.
We were doing a couple at 6:30.
I can't remember how that worked last year.
6:30.
So you could have the finance committee meeting at 6, or you could have the finance committee on one of the off Tuesdays, because I think we have an extra Tuesday in the month.
Right. Yeah, the next 2 weeks. So the other, I think it's you two, and then Tim and Laura. Does either of those Tuesdays work for you? Actually, I have a baseball game next Tuesday, so the 6th would be better for me, actually. If that's okay with you guys.
July 6th.
What time?
6:30. You guys good with that? That way we can have ours, and then do we want to do the public I'm pretty sure we did the public comments right before our meeting last year.
I think so too.
It's like on the 13th. I think we even had it at 7 o'clock. It wasn't even at 6:30. And it was just
Like 5 minutes.
5-minute kind of thing.
My suggestion would be to have the formal public hearing right before the meeting. You just do it at 7.
Yep.
And again, I don't know that anybody's ever commented before, but then the regular meeting would start right after that.
Right.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yep.
Okay.
So you have your proposed budget, Tim?
Well, actually,
To us.
Laura is working on that,
Okay.
and she is getting it all tidied up. So
So you want to go over those dates again? July 6th is the finance? you're
Yeah,
saying?
we'll have a finance committee meeting
At 6:30.
to discuss the 2022 budget at 6:30. Yep.
And then the July, what was it,
13th.
13th meeting.
at 7 for a public hearing?
Yep.
Right
Yes.
before council?
Yep.
Okay,
And then the council will start right after that hearing.
okay, thank you.
Well, we just took care of two things
Yeah.
one time. That worked
We're
out well.
about the committee
Okay.
report now.
Where's the staples? That was easy.
All right, a couple items of communication. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for the people that were able to attend the 2020 Citizen of the Year ceremony. I think it went very well, had a really good turnout, and two really good, obviously, recipients. And Kevin, again, thanks to the staff. Over the weekend, I received an email from a resident, and I just wanted to kind of relay this to the council. And it says, Tim, I want to express my thanks to the Enon Police Department for their attentiveness during our recent vacation. We filled out a form with the village notifying the police that we would be away and asked that our paper be put on hold. However, the paper was still delivered in our driveway. via Ring camera. Don't have one. The Enon officers were seen moving the papers to a less noticeable spot on the porch. Sue and I greatly appreciate their efforts to ensure our security. It's part of what makes living in Enon so great. And this is by Rick Hinterly. Lives on Fay Drive, I believe. So good job. It's those little things that are appreciated by our residents. So I just want to pass that along. Any other items of communication? All right, we'll move into staff reports. Kevin, good evening.
All right, good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council, residents. First item on my agenda is the blood drive was a huge success. We had 44 people come in, 36, I guess, were successful. 22 units were projected. 130, they met 136% of their goal. So,
Cool.
which was really, we had a good turnout for that night. So, the next one is scheduled for August the 11th, same time. And you can either, they would like for you to get scheduled ahead of time, anybody scheduled ahead of time at donortime.com, or they will take walk-ins, but they can't promise walk-ins. So, but yeah,
How
it
did
was
we
a,
get
it was a
those
big
other ones
success.
filled? Did we just do like a Facebook? Did we go out on Facebook and request people to sign up? Because I know we had a bunch of empty slots.
Yeah, I don't know. We had some walk-ins that
Okay.
night, so I don't know. I don't know how many walk-ins versus how many was pre-registered. But
I was just curious. Okay, thank you.
Bob White update, the contractor will be in on either Thursday or Friday to do like a punch list type thing. There is some dirt work and some more riprap that's going to be installed on the east side of the culvert pipe, just to kind of help with the surface water drainage, things like that. So they're just planning on one day in and out. So, but he wasn't sure if it was going to be either Thursday or Friday. So I did notify the one neighbor in particular, which she was concerned about, when they were going to come back and stuff. So I did email her and let her know. So either Thursday or Friday that'll be done. I don't know if you guys have been down through that area, but I think it looks great. I
Does.
think once again, I just compliment the Outdoor Enterprise for what they did and how they handled themselves, and so I'm maybe in the future we can work with them again too. So, but Thursday or Friday that'll be wrapped up, and
Kevin, what was the cost on that? Because I know that tapped into the contingency. Of course, that's what the contingency's for.
It was 123,000 total, something like that. 125,000. So.
And but the extra.
This extra was like another $5,000,
Okay.
like a change order type deal that
Okay.
we had to do. So, but it's going to be well worth it. So, Cardinal Water Tower update. We filled the tank. Jason's going to get bacteria samples tomorrow, and hopefully that water tower will be back online by the weekend. So, everything seemed to go pretty well. As we were trying to fill it a couple times, it stirred up some brown water, and we apologize to the residents that called in and who had brown water. We were just hoping it was temporary, but I think with us filling the tower and the school using water right from the hydrant across the street, and to keep the dust down, according to EPA, they had to keep it sprayed down. I think that's what kind of stirred up a bunch of sediment in the lines and stuff. So we're hopefully past that. I know that there was a few calls today, but they were filling the water truck there at the school, continue to do that so they could keep spraying on that. But as of us, the water tower's full, and we'll take samples and hopefully get it back online. So let's see here. I know that there was a couple, I think Rick mentioned to me about talking to some uniform companies to possibly getting some uniforms for the employees to help on their wear and tear of the washers and things like that. So I did reach out to 3 companies: City Laundry, UniFirst, and Miller Textile. And the one, Miller Textile, we dropped him. There was just some certain complications while we were talking and things like that he didn't think they could fulfill. So got them all priced out, and let's see here. UniFirst is going to be for the 6 workers. It's going to be $41 a week, and for Cintas it was $49 a week. So, and that's 11 uniforms. pants, shorts. If they want, they can divide them up. T-shirts, and long sleeve shirts, they can divide them up. As it gets colder, then they can start wearing the long sleeve shirts. But that would be the high visibility T-shirts, so with the reflective strips on them, so they don't have to wear their vests on top of their shirts. So
I think that's a good idea, and for a little over $2,000, I just crunched it out there, Kevin, for our people to look professional and to be.
they'll be all dressed the same,
Uniform,
and,
yeah.
it'll look nice, and like I said, they kind of was talking about it and kind of requesting it, that because they had to do their laundry and things like that. So I didn't think it was too bad either. So I'm going to go with UniFirst and do that, and I did send the contract over to Paul to take a look at. So as soon as I hear back from him, then I can let you guys know.
Good deal.
I appreciate it, Kevin.
Yeah.
That was one thing they had asked for, and it will serve the village well, I think, in itself too. So,
Yeah, it'll have I think he said they could probably put the logo on it. If not, it'll just have a patch with the Village of Enon. So we're still talking about that little stuff we're still talking about. But there's a one-time charge, but he's going to waive that. If we get any new employees to get the patch and stuff, then they'll charge us. But once we go with them, that all those fees are waived that first time. So
Good deal.
let's see here. County rezoning meeting, I'll be going to, and the mayor said he's going to try to go to it. That's on Thursday.
So Monday. isn't it?
Actually, Monday,
Yeah.
June 28th. Next Monday at 10 o'clock at the Springview Government Center. This is for the Stein Road rezoning project. So we'll be going to that to see how the county votes on that as well. So
What time did you say that was?
that is at 10 a.m. at the Springview Government Center on Monday, June 28th. And the last thing I have is I know this is for the Public Service Committee. Probably need to schedule a meeting sometime. It doesn't have to be real soon, I guess. I need a couple of dates, I guess, for Mike from the Ohio Plan. I reached out to him to talk about if they had any services, since we're members of the Ohio Plan, for going over our employee manual and helping us with the pay schedule. And he said they do. He can come in on an evening, on a whatever night we choose to just discuss what they have available, and basically it's a little different than it's not a cookie cutter type thing that we'd be getting. We can tailor it to ourselves. We can have it as simple as we want, or have them do everything from start. But basically, they just bill us on time and material. It's not, we don't sign a contract with them or anything like that. So, so I just need some dates and times, a couple dates and times to get back with him to see what his schedule looks like. So. Other than that, we're going to be pouring concrete, hopefully tomorrow, possibly, if I can get it ordered in time. We're pouring pads in the parks for the park benches, and we're going to anchor the park benches down. Pads for the trash cans, just to make it look a little bit nicer in the park, and rather than just sitting them in the grass. And so Doug worked hard, and the guys worked hard getting the topsoil dug out. We got forms made up, so Doug and I is going to be leveling up the forms in the morning. So hopefully tomorrow, early afternoon, maybe we can get some of those poured. So
So a good concrete man.
I got connections. So, other than that, and also about parking down at Enon Park, I did price out some additional parking blocks and did some measurements, and hopefully we can get this worked out where people pull into Enon Park and park at like a 45 or a 60-degree angle, and there's still room for cars to back out, go down the cul-de-sac, turn around. So it's a little bit, I can get like 39 spaces along the north side there. And then there's, I think, 4 or 5 right where the tennis court is at, where it kind of goes out a little bit. So that'll make that look a lot nicer and get a little bit more organized and more parking down there for people. So, that will be happening in the near future too. Have not heard anything on the Nature Work grant. I know sorry for the confusion, that we won't know until this fall. They'll notify us this fall on the Nature Work grant, and that was for the exercise fitness trail. The AARP grant, we did not get chosen for that. That's nationwide, so there was a lot of projects turned in for that. So maybe we can look at that again next year for the same project or maybe a different project. So that's all I have for now.
Questions for our administrator?
No storm damage the other night, did we?
We didn't have any, no. Yeah, Doug went out and didn't have any, so.
Any other questions, comments? Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Good job.
Yep.
Chief, good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Evening, council and residents. Just a little update on the July 4th parade. Councilman Whitaker had asked me about the front parking lot, and I spoke with Chief Wendling. Actually, the next day he contacted me. They tore that front parking lot up in Indian Valley, so Chief Wendling's asked that they're going to line up in the parking lot there on Rebert Pike. I've told him that if he just gets me a different parade permit, go ahead and sign that. That shouldn't be an issue. Start over there and then come down to South Xenia and resume normal route. So good eye on that. And I think right after you said it, they started tearing it up the very
It was
next
like a
day.
day
The next day, I think.
So, but at any rate, I'll try to get with some of the residents there on Rebert Pike. I know I talked to one already. They were kind of excited they would get to sit in our front yard to watch it rather than have to walk over.
Yep.
So,
Actually did it on Sunday. Working on Sunday doing that.
yeah. So that's taken care of. And we got some part-time candidates coming up. One should be actually finalizing in the next, hopefully over the next week. So hopefully see a new face soon there. And then I have another one still in the kitty working through the process. I'm excited about that. We're getting some people wanting to come work for us, and that's very helpful, especially with the holidays coming up and all that. We'll talk to you about our cell phone service back in, I don't remember when it was, but I know early on in 2013 we had a meeting with AT&T. They had created this thing called FirstNet, which after 9/11 and some major events, they found out law enforcement and first responders were trying to get on their cell phones, and they had congested cell traffic, and that was an issue. So AT&T, in contract with the government, came up with this thing called FirstNet, which in big events like that, they can dedicate cell service to first responders. That way they can use their cell phones. Well, so we signed up with that back in 2000, I believe it was 13. At any rate, the AT&T cell service at that time in this area wasn't necessarily the greatest, and we have a very low cell area. Obviously, we experienced that with our radios. Long story short, as some time went by and some frustration with the cell service, I made calls to switch to Verizon that way, because I thought that if you didn't matter what kind of dedicated service you had, if your service didn't work, it didn't really matter how dedicated it was. But they did tell me that they would be getting a tower up, and I know they did that over the last year or so, and they've got a tower up. The county and most people already have it, and it works now. So, I talked about getting the cradle points, making our patrol cars the hot spot versus carrying the stuff in and out. So I've worked with AT&T and Cradle Point. AT&T's, we're going to pick back up with them. Our cell phone bills will actually decrease by $5 a month. We're paying $40 now. The cell phone service now will only be $35, which is kind of nice. And then, of course, we'll be back on that FirstNet for obviously anything like we've seen over the protests and miscellaneous things like that. It's not just planes flying into towers. So all that civil uprising, at least now, maybe if we would have to use our cell phones or need dedicated cell service, we'll have that. So I'm happy to go back with them. I'm just glad that we've got some cell service over here. So we're going to switch from Verizon to AT&T back on the FirstNet plan is what I'm saying. The cost is entry level and the same as far as the Wi-Fi, but the cell phones are actually cheaper by $5 per month for the phone. So I just wanted to, we'll be changing our phone numbers for our department phones. I'll get those out to you all in an email, but I went ahead and I'm not going to port any of the numbers because we don't really hand those out for people to call, but a lot of times when people do it, they save it in caller ID. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions on that or discuss it, but that does have a cost with the Cradle Point. It's under $5,000, I believe is what I figured, but it'll be nice for the cars. And it'll be nice not having to break stuff and move stuff in and out, and it's just what everybody else has. It'll help with the tracking and then just a dedicated service and more secure network. And it's just what everybody's using as far as law enforcement goes. We just couldn't do it before, but now the technology's up a little bit higher. So it'll step us on up.
So we're not like on the leading edge of something that's already being used in Clark County.
They all have it, yes.
Okay.
Everybody has it. It's just the prices on those were pretty high back then, and I didn't know enough. We didn't know enough about them. But now it just makes sense, and especially since it's all tied up into one. So at some point we will be pulling away from our Verizon soon. I know that they're sending out the phones and stuff. They hopefully will come next week, and we'll switch back to AT&T. So, but under the FirstNet, and then that'll also open up a channel for you for what you were wanting to do with the updating some of the stuff down there. I spoke to them on that, and they're going to put you on a little subsection since we'll be back on that. So if you see the cars with a little, it'll be another plastic thing on top. It's just what it is. So, and our cruiser update, I spoke with our rep, and there's still no date on the production of that thing.
Wow.
It's starting to make me nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm told Ford's going to shut down 1 week production still monthly, I believe, or he might have said bi-monthly, but I thought he said monthly to help with the chip shortage. So that's where we're at on that. I know there's a lot of people waiting in line for patrol cars, but short of switching maybe to check out another vendor, we're just on hold.
I think that is a problem that might be common with multiple productions right now. Because I know somebody that works at Navistar, and I think Navistar is experiencing something similar in
Yeah.
production
I
of
told but not confirmed
trucks.
that Tahoes were possibly available, but I just know it's kind of frustrating because I like to see it built.
This is
myself.
what you want. This is what,
Yeah.
and so we just might have to be patient with it.
Good things come to those who wait.
Yeah, we'll be patient. We're just tacking miles on, but it's just it's a little.
But it's
you get
out
that
of your
phone
control,
call.
Mike.
It is
I
out of
mean,
my.
This is a
It is.
global issue.
I know. Yes, it
It's-
is. It is. So, I don't think I missed anything. Any questions? Anything?
Questions for our chief?
Was there any contracts with Verizon or AT&T? I mean, as far as, are we outside of our contract date with Verizon? And
The Verizon, I think they offered everything I think we just had like a 1-year contract. We would definitely be out past that. AT&T does have the 2-year, and I think that's if you would cancel, you just have to reimburse them of the equipment. But I had when I moved away from them the last time, we were outside of it, so I haven't been hit with that. And I'm pretty 99.9% sure there's no contract.
Okay.
There's
other
always that
questions?
hidden cost in that bill.
Oh, yeah. You got to read all the lines in the contract, right?
Yeah.
And
Any
we
other questions?
always do.
I do actually. They drives them nuts.
You know, Mike, I believe that.
It's a fact. They tried to put me taxes on that. I said, we're tax exempt, sir. I'll fax you a new form if you'd like. All right.
Any other comments or questions for our chief? Okay. Thanks, Mike. Thanks to both of you. All right, let's see. We took care of Jeremy's committee reports. We have no old business, new business. We do have an executive session scheduled this evening. So we will accept any comments that you may have, Marion, this evening? No? Okay. All right, good to see you.
All right.
If I leave, can you have your executive session there?
We'll probably still go into the conference room.
I'm going to leave anyhow, so
Yeah.
you might not have to go. Okay?
Well, thank you for that offer.
I'd like to,
I can turn it off. That's up to you guys.
make a motion for executive session for the consideration of purchase of property or land acquisition.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
7:30.
Right on the nose.
Airport Authority shirt too. Is that the same brand?
Yes. It did such a good job folding. Yep.
He made me some really good signs, that's all I know.
Man, because he does all the state shirts.
Oh, I know, we waited a long time for some shirts once.
So we'll need a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
7:52.
So we will need a motion and a second to approve a purchase agreement between the Village of Enon and Knob Prairie Church.
So moved.
Second.
And this would be for property at 6553 to 6561 Dayton Springfield Road in the amount of $150,000 with $75,000 to be paid in 2021 and $75,000 to be paid in 2022.
So moved.
Call roll.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Fogel?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion was approved, and that's all of our business for this evening.
I move
Motion.
we adjourn.
All right, I'll second it.
Had them on both ends. Somebody second it?
Yes.
Okay, call roll, please. Oh,
Yes.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. There we go. I didn't hear that second.
7:53.
Retrain her after every meeting, I swear. Put an anchor on real as
I don't know who did not give a motion to.